In the summer of 1681, there was a very bad drought in the whole of Scotland, and the people of Falkirk in particular suffered. The Westburn, the Eastburn, and Adams Goat all dried up, and there was no water for drinking or for cooking, washing, or sanitation. Public health deteriorated, and people fell ill. They had to go quite some considerable distances to get the water from springs which were still in operation, one of which was in the wood at Callendar at the top of the hill. To avoid such problems in the future, the Earl of Callendar in the following year had his men cut down some straight trees and to bore hollows into the centre of the trunks. And these were then joined together using iron collars from the eternal spring in Callendar Wood into the town centre, where they fed water by gravity along the Cow Wynd to a reservoir in front of the steeple. The underground reservoir was then covered and a fountain installed on top of it. And a fountain at this time simply means a stone structure with a hand pump so that the water could be pumped above ground. And it emerged through a lead pipe through the mouth of a stone lion, a demi-lion, which we have on exhibition here in Callendar House. This was matched by another lion on the top of the fountain, which had the Earl's coronet on its head, and also sported the Earl's coat of arms. Because having provided this largesse, it was quite important that the Earl reminded people who it was that had given them the first public supply of water. The lion was painted red, and the whole thing would have been quite colourful at the time, and it was inaugurated on the 29th of May 1682. The Earl of Callendar, mounted on horseback, took a quake of water. He raised it to the gathered audience, and he dedicated the well to the wives and bairns of Falkirk, which is why today, if you're born in Falkirk, you are known as a bairn. The funding for the structure had come out of the Earl's own pocket, and the first thing he therefore did was to create an act in his own Baron Court to make sure that it was still able to function. And that forbade people from washing fish at the fountainhead, because you don't want the smelly oils from the fish to go back underground and to contaminate the water supply. He then formed a public body who he gave authority to raise a stent or a local tax, which is why that body became known as the Stent Masters. Their representatives were chosen from the leading trades in the town, eventually augmented by a public election, so people from the four quarters of the town added to that body. In 1687, the Earl also gave an oak chair to the Stent Masters for the chairman, and that's where, of course, the expression chairman comes from. The oak chair is also in the museum collection, and it has the Earl's initials on it. Again, just a reminder of that important connection. Over the following centuries, there was a constant battle for the Stent Masters to maintain the infrastructure, to replace the timber pipes with leaden ones eventually, to create larger reservoirs and a second pump at the Crosswell. And so on each occasion, another stent had to be raised from the local people. As time went on, the Stent Masters also became responsible for maintaining the gas lights on the streets, for cleaning the streets, and various other civic duties. They also fell to the toll booth, or the steeple as it's now known, and helped to maintain standards in the local market. In 1859, it's not surprising, therefore, that the Stent Masters were subsumed into the new town or borough council, and a new coat of arms was created for the town of Falkirk, which featured the red lion from the top of the Crosswell with the coronet on as the bearer of the new shield. And you'll notice that the red lion has got a purple tongue representing the water pipe that used to issue from its mouth. So the reason why the Cross Well, being a big object, has been chosen for the 7th of our 10.5 objects is because it represents the first public water supply for the town of Falkirk. It represents the first occasion when public representatives were able to raise taxes in the area. It is the beginning of what became, of course, Falkirk Council, and most importantly of all, it's why the burns got their name.